So we have cut the outside off. And now this is what we're going to do. God bless you? Or something? Okay. You see these right here? These dotted lines? Guess what we're going to do on the dotted lines? We're going to fold. I want you to fold this one this way. Okay? And then we're going to fold the next one this way. Guys, it's not that hard. I folded once, and then folded once, and then I'm going to fold this way. You can do it. I know you can. I know you can conquer the folding. So we're folding it like a fan. It looks like this. Like a fan. I folded it like a fan. Guys, did you notice that I folded it along the lines? I didn't just randomly fold? Yeah, that's why there's lines there. It is like an accordion, but we're not going to play any music on it. My sister plays accordion. She's amazing at it. She's actually amazing at just about anything she does. Thank you. That was very nice. Thank you. Okay, are you ready? Use your table groups to help you out if you need help. Now I'm going to open it up for just a second so I can show you something. Okay? Do you see that this line right here is dark all the way until the very end? And then this part is really light. So I could cut that whole way just like that until here. Or I could fold up that part like this and then just cut like this. See how it's so connected on that graph part? See the graph part's still connected but everything else is separate? I need to do the same thing on the next one. Come on guys, I know you can do this. I have confidence in you. See how it's still connected on the graph part? So you just may need to cut at the top so it comes apart all the way at the top. Yes, all the way through. Let me see it. Bring it here. You got him? Okay. But remember, we're not cutting through the graph part. We don't want 3 separate pieces. If you get 3 separate pieces, you're going to have to tape it back together, which is why I said don't cut through the graph part. Don't cut on the really thin line. It's not an accordion anymore. You're correct. It's an octopus with 3 legs. Okay. Yes. Jellyfish. Okay. Does everybody have it? Basically? Almost. Do you need the tape? Okay, you remember how I told you sometimes it's going to be okay to write your notes and not pencil? Today is one of those days. If you'd like to write your notes and not pencil, you may. Are we ready to go on? Yes or no? Yes, you may. Okay, I'm starting with standard form. Are you ready? Standard form. On the bottom of the standard form little area, we're going to write the formula for standard form. ax squared plus bx plus c. That's standard form. There's certain things that you need to know about each one of these forms. We're going to write it on this foldable. I thought it would be a little bit more exciting than regular notes today. If you don't like it, I don't care. Okay? Because there's enough people that do like it that we're going to just go with it. Okay? Ready to go on? First thing you have to be able to know how to find in standard form is the axis of symmetry. Okay? The axis of symmetry for standard form can be found using this formula. X equals negative b over 2a. Now, where do all these numbers come from? B and a and stuff. Oh, from the equation, because we have a, b, and c, right? Okay. Now for the vertex. Well, let's use some logic here. If I know that the axis of symmetry, do you remember what shape a parabola is? A U, right? If we know the axis of symmetry, which is right here, goes through what? The vertex. And I know that x equals negative b over 2a. What does the x coordinate of the vertex look like? Absolutely. Negative b over 2a. Once I find the axis of symmetry, I already know the x coordinate of the vertex. Does that make sense? Or if I start with the vertex, once I find the x coordinate of the vertex, don't I know the axis of symmetry? Either way, okay? Now, this is going to look messy, but please wait to freak out, because once I explain what it is, you won't. Okay? Here's what it looks like. That's the y-coordinate of the vertex. What does that mean? What do I do with negative b over 2a? If I'm saying f of negative b over 2a, it used to be f of x, right? What do I do if there's a number there? If I ask you to find f of 2, what do you do with the 2? Don't I just plug it in to find the value of the function? Does that make sense? Is there any sort of thing that I'm multiplying 2 times f? No. If I'm saying f of 2, I'm saying find the value of the function at 2. Now, where did I get 2? I pulled it out of my head. I was saying, what if we had 2 as our x coordinate? Okay? So whatever value, let's make ourselves a note. Okay? Take this. Plug it in into the equation to find this. Okay? Take the x coordinate, plug it into the equation to find the y coordinate. Yes? Okay. Our next little tab, or next little page, says miscellaneous. Okay? For a standard form equation, something that you need to be able to find is the Y-Intercept. Okay? Now, here's how hard the Y-Intercept is. First of all, what does a Y-Intercept look like? It's a number without a variable. So that's a good point. What does it look like on the graph? It's where it crosses the y-axis, right? What's true about any point that's on the y-axis? The x-coordinate is 0. Well, if I plug an x into this formula, if I plug in a 0 for x to this coordinate, what's left? C. The y-intercept is 0, C. That's easy, right? Just look at the number on the end. That's the y-intercept. Everybody okay so far? Okay. What should I be able to label on the graph? I should be able to label the vertex. I should be able to label the y-intercept. That's correct. What else should I be able to label? One more thing. Axis of symmetry. Exactly right. Now, guys, do you remember what the axis of symmetry actually does on a parabola? What does this word mean, actually? Symmetry. What do you mean by symmetrical? It's the same on both sides, right? So the axis of symmetry is the thing that cuts the parabola in half, that is the same as that, okay? Now, if you look at mine, it's not great. Mine's a little bit bigger on this side than on this side, so hopefully you did a better job than me. You know what I'm saying? You did not? Okay, well, pretend that you did. Is that fair? Okay. Any questions about standard form? Okay, let's fold that up. Let's look at vertex form. Y equals A times x minus h squared plus k. Now, most of the time, just in case you care, most of the time vertex form is my favorite. Transformations are so much easier. Finding the vertex is so much easier. It just looks prettier to me. Axis of symmetry in vertex form, x equals h. There's no formulas. I just look. What's h? Well, that's the axis of symmetry. But we're going to put a star here. Star. Be careful. Cuidado of your signs. Why are we being careful of our signs? Well, x minus h is the formula. So if I say this part right here says x minus 3, what is the value of h? It's just 3. The minus is part of the formula. So if it says x minus 3, the value of h is 3, so the axis of symmetry would be x equals 3. Now, earlier in the day, we actually talked about the fact that this is very similar to what we just finished with factors and zeros. If the factor said x minus 3, what was the 0? Positive 3, right? Because I would set it equal to 0 to solve, right? That's kind of what's happening here. If I set x minus 3 equal to 0, wouldn't I get x equals 3? Does that help? Okay, but we want to be careful of our signs. We want to be careful of our signs because what is it going to look like they are actually, how are they actually related to each other? Won't it look like they're the opposite of what's in the parentheses? Yes or no? Okay. So if you know the axis of symmetry, is x equals h. Can you tell me anything about the vertex? So it's going to start with h, right? Won't that be the x-coordinate of the vertex? Doesn't that make sense? Okay. Here's part of the reason why I like vertex form so much. Because the vertex is hk. Like, to find the vertex, I just have to look. There's no figuring, there's no calculations, there's no arithmetic, nothing. I just look. God bless you. Okay? But I'm also going to put a star here. Why? We still have to be careful of the signs. I'm not going to write it again. I already wrote it once. I don't want to waste any more ink. Silly. Okay? Any questions? All right, miscellaneous for vertex form. There's not really anything, so I just drew you a penguin. Okay. Oh, I forgot the arms. There. Well, he has two. You can only see one because he's sideways. Graph. Like, there's really nothing to put in that blank, so we're fine. Okay. What should we be able to label on the graph if it's in vertex form? The most obvious thing is what? The vertex. What else do you think we might be able to label? Did we talk about the Y-intercept anywhere in here? No. Y-intercept is actually the thing that's the most difficult to figure out in vertex form. You think it would just be k, but it's not. Because if you think about this, and I multiply it out, won't I have a constant when I multiply two h's together? I had to combine that with the k to figure out the Y-intercept. Okay, but you're right, I should be able to label the axis of symmetry. And for the graph in vertex form, that's it. That's all we talked about on this row, isn't it? Any questions? Okay, I'll fold that back up. Let's look at intercept form. Oops. Let's write intercept form first. Y equals or f of x equals, either one is fine. See, I did this on purpose. Can you see this? This one I wrote f of x, and this one I wrote y. Why did I do that? To make sure you remember it's the same, okay? And it doesn't matter which one we use. Sometimes we need it in function notation if we're doing f of something. Sometimes we can just write y, okay? So y equals a times x minus p times x minus q. In vertex form, the axis of symmetry is p plus q divided by 2. It rhymes? Excellent. That's cross-curriculum education right there. Doing math, but also rhyming. Do we need a star right here? Why? Okay. Because once again, the negative is part of the formula, right? So can anybody tell me the vertex? That's the x-coordinate, isn't it? P plus Q divided by 2. Any guesses about the y-coordinate? F of P plus Q divided by 2. So what are we going to do with the x value once we figure it out? Take x value, plug. Oh, what would be a better math word for me to write than plug? Substitute. Into equation to find y value. I'm happier with that one than I was with the top, but are we saying the same thing in both of these two? We are. Okay. I think this is more mathematically correct. Ready to go on? Not yet? Okay. I'm going to take a drink of water. No? Okay. Miscellaneous. What do you think I ought to be able to find in this form? What do you think? What's it called? Intercept form? What do you think I ought to be able to find? X-intercepts. So very similar to the way that we did factors to zeros. My x-intercepts, what's true about an x-intercept? It's on the x-axis, so the y value is 0, right? So an x-intercept should look like P, 0. And the other one should look like Q, 0.
Miss Kingston?
Yes, ma'am?
Do you have Matthew Jones?
Yes, I do.
Can you send him to the office? He's leaving.
Yes, I will.
Thank you.
Matthew, you need to go to the office. You're leaving. I wasn't sure if you heard. I was just making sure. Charging? That's fine. In the tub by the door, please. What should we be able to label on the graph? So both x-intercepts. Can you ever think of a time where we would only ever have one x-intercept? Is that even possible? How? Oh, okay. Well, let's talk about that. Let's talk about what she said first, and then we'll talk about what you said. Is that okay? So what she said is if it sits on the origin or hangs from the origin. I mean, from the x-axis, right? So if it sits on it, so it's just like the vertex is touching, or if it's hanging like this way, the vertex is touching. What he said was, what if it goes this way? Won't there be only one? So, for the record, we're not doing those kind of parabolas right now. Okay? Not yet. Not yet. That's some foreshadowing. We'll get there. Okay? Right now we're dealing with vertical parabolas, ones that open up or down. Okay? What else should I be able to label on this parabola? The vertex and the axis of symmetry. Good. Any questions about this? Okay, so I recommend right now that you turn this over, put your name on the back. Now can we use it? It's all nice to have a great foldable and stuff, but can we use it? Which part are we going to look at? Intercept form, okay? So here's the directions. Graph the parabola. Identify the vertex and axis of symmetry. Well, so if I go to look what I wrote for my graph, if it says identify the vertex and axis of symmetry, what else should be on my graph if it's in intercept form? Both of the intercepts, right? Does it ask for that? No, it only asks for the vertex and axis of symmetry. But because it is in intercept form, you know that those have to be there as well, because we put them on our graph on purpose. Got it? So what I need in order to graph is my vertex, my axis of symmetry, and then my x-intercepts. That's what I need. Okay? How do I find my vertex or my axis of symmetry or my x-intercepts? I don't care what order we do it in. Which one do you want to do first? Which one's the easiest, you think? X-intercepts, okay? So to find x-intercepts, I have P0 and Q0. So in this particular problem, what are my x-intercepts? Close. -5, 0. Because we write, remember we said be careful of our signs, right? Maybe we should have put it here too. Maybe put a little star here to remind ourselves we got to be careful of our signs. Okay? And 1, 0. So how do I go about finding my axis of symmetry? P plus Q over 2. Well, P was -5 and Q was 1. What is -5 plus 1? What is -4 divided by 2? So what is my axis of symmetry? Be prepared to fight about the answer. Okay, so that's what we have to fight about. You said the answer is -2, and I asked for the axis of symmetry. What is an axis of symmetry? Isn't it a line? Do we name a line by a number? What do we name a line by? I even wrote it for you. What does it say? Literally read this. X equals. Okay? Axis of symmetry is x equals -2. If you just write -2, it will be wrong. That shows me all you know how to do is put numbers in but not understand what they are. Okay? X equals -2 is the axis of symmetry. What about the vertex? Well, you already know part of it, don't you? What part of it do you know? So -2, comma, something. How do we find the something? Take the x value and substitute it into the equation. So I have -2 times, what is -2? Not this one, but this one that I found, right? What's -2 plus 5? 3. And what's -2 minus 1? -3. What is -2 times 3? 6 times -3? 18. Now all I have left to do is graph. There's a time and a place to be perfectly exact about every point that lies on my parabola. Today is not the time or the place. I need my vertex to be at -2, 18. That looks about good. -2, 18. I need my axis of symmetry to go through that, and that's at x equals -2. If this is -2, -5 is probably right there, and 1 is probably right there, right? Now I just need a parabola shape. Guys, how was I absolutely sure that it was upside down? Yeah, my A is negative, isn't it? My A is negative. Plus my vertex is up here and my x-intercepts are here. Doesn't that logically make sense that it would go this way? Yeah, that's just like a double check to know that my A is negative, so I know it's upside down. So this stuff is all work, right? This is your answer right here. This is what I expect to see as your answer. Because even though the directions only said identify the vertex and axis of symmetry, what do you know I expect if it's in vertex form? Or intercept form, excuse me. I expect the x-intercepts as well. Okay? What about this one? Standard form. Okay. So I got my top section. Again, the directions are graph the function, identify the vertex and axis of symmetry. So looking at my graph, I know that I'm going to need my vertex, axis of symmetry, and my y-intercept. Okay? So how do where do you want to start now? What? Say it louder. Y-intercept? Okay, what's my y-intercept? 0c. So 0, -5. How did I find that again? Yeah, I just looked. The c is -5, correct? Okay, so now I need my axis of symmetry. -b over 2a. -b over 2a. -b in this problem would be what? -4 over 2 times a, which is? Where's the a again? A is in front of the x squared, right? Does it have anything to do with the x squared? Only that it's in front of it. So if I need the a, is it x squared? Or is it 1? Does that make sense? Okay, so what is 2 times 1? Excellent. What is -4 divided by 2? -2. Now, I don't want you to get confused, so I'm just going to make this statement, although most of you don't need me to make it, but just in case. This one, the axis of symmetry, is -2. This one, the axis of symmetry, is -2. Axis of symmetry always -2? Or just happen to be on these 2 examples I showed you? Okay, just making sure. What's the axis of symmetry? Try again. Excellent. I know part of that was my fault because I just said -2, but we're fine. So I also need the vertex then, right? What do you know? X coordinate is -2, right? I just figured that out. How do I figure out the y coordinate? Substitute it back into the equation. So I have -2 squared plus 4 times -2 minus 5. Well, what is -2 squared? What's -2 times -2? 4. What's 4 times -2? -8, and then minus 5. What is 4 minus 8? -4 minus 5? -9. Okay, you're fine, -9. You accidentally said -10, that's fine. We just fix it. Now I graph. -2, -9. Does right there look okay? That's my vertex. X equals -2. That's my axis of symmetry. What else do I need? Y-intercept. 0, -5. Boom. Questions? Is this the exact shape of the parabola? No, I told you that's not what we're focused on right now. We're focused on finding the stuff that we need and generally graphing it. Okay? Is it going to be close to this? Yeah, because we wrote all the stuff I needed. It's going to be close to that. Okay?